Stuart and I have a question. Pump sink.
This one.
Why is it necessary to have a teacher? And how can one use a teacher effectively?
Well, I mean, just basic practical living tells you you need people to teach you things. I mean, how do you learn to be a doctor without a teacher, a lawyer without a teacher? How do you learn anything to be an artist, a musician? How do you learn yoga without a teacher? You need somebody to teach you. And when you get to doing, the kind of meditation practice we do, which is very deep and uh, it's one of the single most difficult things to learn on the earth. And what am I talking about? How to get past yourself. And it's essential to have somebody who guides you, who was willing to get on that white water raft with you, and navigate, to where the water is placid and still, and and that's what this is about. Having somebody like that in your life is one of the great miracles that the universe can give us. Having Rudy in my life. I mean, frankly, if it wasn't for Rudy, I wouldn't be alive today. I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. I mean, if I was alive, only God knows what I'd be doing. So a teacher is essential. Also, the marriage between a student and a teacher, when it's based on spiritual growth and a connection with God and higher energy, is probably the most sacred marriage on the earth. So, yeah, I know there are a lot of people. I don't need a teacher. I don't need a teacher. I don't believe that. I think it's very short-sighted on the part of people, and it's ego. I don't need anybody. I can do this on my own. And then you look in their eyes and you look at them and you see they're not doing it. It's all just ego. I mean, Rudy spent 13 years with a teacher he didn't even like. And this is true. He didn't even like him, but he said, I don't know anybody else on earth who can break me down. So I asked him, I said, why do you do this? Why do you go there to be intimidated this way by this person? He said, I don't know anyone else on earth who can break me down. I need to be broken down. That's a kind of wisdom that most people don't live with. This realization that you have to get past yourself in order to have a spiritual life. So you need a teacher, I always tell you, you all are my teacher, every one of you. Your presence here, really demands that I open in a depth, even getting past flu and, sneezing and coughing, which I've been doing all day, to open to be a channel for that energy, to not only help you grow, but to help me grow as well. So I think the teacher-student relationship, probably the most significant relationship a human being can have in their life. A relationship to be honored, to be grateful for, you know, and it takes nothing away. I mean, you can be married, you can have children, you can have jobs, you can have all kinds of stuff in life. It has nothing that never interfere unless you allow it to interfere. It will never interfere between a spiritual teacher and a spiritual student, unless the person creates blocks. Said, well, I don't need, blah, blah. I know how many times I've had it. I had people come to me, barely, had to pull them out of the streets, they were in such crippled conditions. And after a year or two of studying, they look wonderful. And then someone would come along who would fall in love with them. And that person would make a demand. It's either me or Stuart. And I lost out 98% of the time. I really did. And of course, I didn't care. It's not my problem. I did what I had to do. I helped this person at least find a relationship in their life. And the rest of it is what, it's what they do with it and their time, their relationship, their spiritual need. So it's a very important thing, Bob. And one should never denigrate it or think that it's anything but sacred. To have somebody in your life who cares enough to help you get past yourself.
Stuart, will you tell us when we're off the mark, or do we have to ask?
Well, there are a lot of people in my life. So ask a question, I'll tell you. Ask me, am I on the mark? I will answer you. I mean it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Just ask. Because there's a lot of people, that I have to deal with every day. And it should be the student's responsibility to ask those kinds of questions. Not analytic questions. And, I had a guy do this kind of crap and I just cut him off from my emails. It was so stupid. I mean it. He began to do this analysis of what I talking about. And it was like, what? Who cares? Let it come from the heart. Let it come with gratitude, with love, with the heart chakra open. And then all the questions get answered. Things you don't understand get clear because you work in depth to keep the heart open. So ask. If you're stuck, ask. I will be happy to do the best I can to help you get past the thing that is damming up the works inside yourself.
Stuart, where am I off the mark? Where do I need to work? Where am I off the mark?
Well, you're not off the mark. You were off the mark, 10 years ago, but you're on the mark and you have to have patience with yourself. You finally got on the mark. I mean that, and you have to have patience. It's a step by step unfolding of consciousness, takes time, takes maturity. And that is maybe where you're off the mark, not having patience, thinking you should be there. The day I realized that I'm never going to be there, you know, it, I used to go to, when I lived in Woodstock, I would take my daughter Ania into the city. She was a little kid. Daddy, when are we going to be there? When are we going to be there, Daddy? I'll never forget her. So I got tired. I said, Ania, we'll be there when we get there. And meditation is the same thing. We'll be there when we get there. Each step we take is part of the evolution of consciousness. And we have to have patience with ourselves and understand, first of all, the difficulty of doing it. And second of all, how far we have really come in life. And Bob, I would say you have come very far. I remember you the day you walked into my life. And I went, oh my God. I remember. I got to deal with, and I see you today in a kind, gentle, good person, very loving. And I think it's wonderful and extraordinary. And I remember when you used to run the restaurant there, screaming at everybody and fighting with everybody and lecturing everybody. How do I forget that? I'll never forget. I go back there and blah, 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 upset at everybody because they made a hamburger wrong or something. And you're not like that anymore. There's a kindness in you and a goodness in you. And I think that's really extraordinary. You've come a long way. So don't ever sell yourself short. And don't ever think you have to be perfect. And that's not only for Bob, that's for all of us. Don't ever believe that you have to be perfect because nobody is perfect. God is perfect. The rest of us are a bunch, as Rudy said, a bunch of schmucks evolving. He said in that video you did, he talking about, God loves, what is it, idiots and crazy people, And we are. To do this, you got to be a little bit crazy. You got to have a kind of a gypsy soul in you to do this kind of thing. But God loves, it's like that Zen, those two guys in Zen. I forgot their name, but they were like, they always would paint them like two dimwits, you know, that were sweeping the porch of the monastery. And when the head abbot died, they had to pick new, leader, a new abbot to run the monastery. And the only one that they found that were truly living in Zen were these two guys, that they were living in the moment. Everybody else was an intellectual, was figuring it out, was this and that. These two guys who were kind of, they were like drunken fools. They lived their life in the moment and they became the abbots of the monastery. So we all have to be drunken fools. I mean it. And not take ourselves so seriously. I mean, I used to take myself very seriously when I was younger. And then when Rudy told me, first I'll teach, then you'll teach, and then we'll show cartoons, it changed something in me. I could be replaced by the Roadrunner. Don't take it seriously. Don't ever think you are doing it. I am doing it. It changed something. That little teaching went so deep inside me that something changed. And I stopped taking myself so seriously. Need a teacher. Your first question. Somebody to remind you that you could be replaced by Bugs Bunny. Don't take yourself so seriously. Does anyone else have a question? And have gratitude for how far you've come in your life. Have gratitude for whatever paths have opened to you, whatever God has given you to help you grow in your life. Have gratitude for it. That will go a long way to undam you, to break down all of the resistances. Okay, if there are no more questions, there will be meditation tomorrow evening. I'm very happy and pleased that I got through this without, sneezing 50 times and coughing 48 times. So thank you and God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night. Feel better.
Good
Thank
night.
you. I hope you feel better, Stuart.
Thank you.